And I call this public meeting to order. I want to thank everyone who's joining in this evening. If you want to make a public comment on the items listed under the closed session agenda, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk.
Public hearing for visitors who wish to address the board on closed session items. 15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on closed session items. Speakers seeking to comment on other items are requested to make those comments during the public comment portion of the meeting at 6:30 p.m. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. The school board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time. I'm sorry, Mrs. Gallegos, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, and trustees, and Assistant Superintendent Schwartz and staff. CC Gallegos, Madera Unified School District teacher for 31 years, reside at 409 Mayberry Drive, Madera, California. I'm here to speak on behalf of maybe a closed session. Again, it's confidential, private, so we're not sure if it's on here or not. So please entertain myself and my colleagues just a few minutes of your time to speak on it. We have heard, again, on the street, as you know, Madera is, that our principal might be reassigned to another school for reasons that some of us might know and some of us might not know. So I'm here tonight to tell you that I know it's a difficult task to take as a trustee to make that decision, but I see that you hear one side of the story from staff, and I sit in those seats that you sit in, and it's important to hear the staff and the people that are in the trenches. And so tonight you have teachers here at John Adams School that would like to speak on behalf of our principal, Kevin Greger, who has been an excellent administrator at the school. He's done outstanding things for us, and you'll hear about it through our staff. And as we believe, we're a high-performing school. And as a colleague has said, one of your colleagues has stated to me that, why would we reassign a high-performing administrator? We really should be looking at the administrators that are struggling, that are not performing, and here we have one who's doing just that. So we believe the best thing for Madera Unified is to leave our principal at John Adams Elementary. So I thank you for your time.
Hello, Madera Unified School District Board of Trustees. Thank you for listening to me. My name is Diana Gonzalez. I reside at 3017 Sultana Drive in Madera, California. I have been a teacher at John Adams for 32 years and at John Adams for 32 years, the whole entire time. So I've worked with numerous principals in that time, and I have found Kevin Greger to be one of the very, very best. He is well respected and professional and an exceptional leader. He has diligently worked to make John Adams the best that it can be, and it is represented in our high test scores and our positive school climate and culture. And all of this is a result of Kevin's leadership, dedication, and commitment. So please consider this in any deliberations you may have. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Alex Hernandez. I am a second grade teacher at John Adams Elementary. This is I just completed my second year as a teacher. I bring forth my perspective, and I hope you see it as valuable, since as a new teacher coming into a school, one thing us new teachers love is the support and guidance of our administration. Kevin Greger has done that for me in my past 2 years. Whenever I struggled with specific students with behavior issues or in providing specific teaching practices, he was always there to guide me and provide me with the necessary instruction so I can better serve our students. And this can be reflected in the way second grade has improved since COVID. Last year, we were third in the district, and then this year that just finished, we were first in the district. This is because of the guidance and support of Kevin Greger to our grade level. Adams also finished first in the K through 6 scores in the NWA maths. This is showing the growth that the school is doing and will continue to do under the guidance of Kevin Greger. I want to thank you guys for your time.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mona Youssef. I was born and raised in Madera, California. I graduated from Madera South a long time ago, 10 years. I was hired by, I was hired by Kevin Greger in 2017, I believe. I recently just sadly resigned. I'm moving to Modesto and I'm getting married, so I'm moving there. But one of the hardest things about making the decision to resign this year was Kevin Greger. He guided me so much in the past 6 years. I'm not saying he's the easiest to work with, but he cares very, very deeply about the kids. And if you know Kevin, in any argument, he says, this is about the kids. It doesn't matter right or wrong, whatever you think your perspective, the kids at the end of the day need to benefit the most. And that is something, working closely with him on SAP the past 3 years, I've seen nothing but growth academically. Even recently, I looked at preliminary scores in the content area of math at John Adams. We grew 10% from last year, and that's through the efforts, very, very deep efforts of local assessments, monitoring, creating common assessments, and we ended up performing really well. I'm really proud of our staff, but we couldn't have done it without Kevin. So I really hope you guys, whether this makes a difference or not, I think it's important to know people often point out the flaws, and when things are good, we don't talk about it enough. So I do want to just highlight, he's an amazing administrator. We're all here today. There's 25 of us sitting, so I hope you really keep that in consideration. Thank you.
Evening. I'm Melinda Melton. I live at 405 North Pine Street. I have taught at John Adams for 27 years. I am also Madera born and bred. I also went to John Adams K through 3rd grade and graduated from Madera High in actual long time ago, 88. And I have had several administrators as well being there. And Kevin is one of the best. As a teacher, been very supportive. I recently switched to 2nd grade after being in 3rd grade for 12 years. So he helped me in that transition and was always has been very, very supportive. And I'd like to also talk as a parent. I've had 2 boys who went through John Adams. One special needs, has autism. They've both graduated from Madera High now. And now I just had my twins complete their 6th grade year and going on to TJ. And he has been their administrator from K on. My one son has ADHD and other processing and anger implosive, and he has been extremely supportive and helpful with him. There was some things having to do with my husband that he went in support of for him and of me, and I couldn't ask for him to do any more than that. He has been just extremely helpful, considerate, and like Ms. Youssef said, his number one thing is the kids. He is extremely, extremely proud and of John Adams, of the kids, of his staff, and he's always there for us whenever we've needed him. So please keep that in consideration. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Steve Jakewith. I live at 5020 Congressional Street in Chowchilla. I'm a teacher here in Madera. I've taught 4th grade and 5th grade. I spent 16 years at Cesar Chavez And last year was my 17th year and my first year at John Adams. Leaving Chavez was a difficult decision. Obviously, I went there when it opened. There was a lot of things to consider. And it definitely was time for a change for me. I'd been through a lot there professionally and personally, lots of positive things and some negative things as well. And it was definitely time for a change, and I was thinking about where to go. And my wife had been there at John Adams for 2 years during COVID and 1 year after, working under Kevin, and she left Adams. And when she left, I realized that was a place I would like to be. And Kevin Greger was a principal that I would like to work for. I had a few reasons for going to John Adams, and in speaking to Kevin during the summer, I was going to have to take a 6th grade position there in order to move over, and I really wanted 4th. But Kevin was one of the big reasons why I decided to go against what I wanted in teaching 4th. And we talked over the summer, and he really counseled me and mentored me over the summer. And I knew it was the right choice to go. But I didn't think it was the right choice to go for 6th grade. Sorry, 6th grade teachers. And I had done my time in middle school in Chowchilla and smelled enough. So, of the smelly classrooms. So I was ready to go back to 4th. And in talking to Kevin, he mentored me and he said, Steve, you're never going to get everything you want. But I'm a man of faith, trust in the Lord, and give it up to him. And I did. And over the summer, a teacher happened to leave and 4th grade opened up and an email came out and boom, I was on it. Like just immediately, yes, I'll take 4th grade. So I got the school I wanted, the administrator I wanted, and the type of administrator I wanted. And Kevin is the type of administrator that we all want. And that's coming from the heart of each of us. You're looking at a room full of teachers behind me who got a call maybe 20 to 30 minutes ago to say, come to the board meeting. And I think there's probably 31 or 2 of us here right now out of 35 or 40. So within 20 minutes, you see the kind of support that Kevin has. So whatever's going on privately behind closed doors with you guys, we leave it up to you and we leave it in God's hands. But we trust that you will make the best decision possible for the kids of Madera. And that's what we do. We work every day to make the best decisions we can for the kids of Madera. And that's what we've seen Kevin do as well.
Any more teachers want to speak? Or we can move on. We're going to decide which one with just one more, because we need to move on to our closed session.
Okay, my name is Deborah Peppers. I've been teaching for 18 years, and this is my 8th year at Adams. My daughter's been an Adams All-Star pretty much since she's been in school, and Mr. Greger, is one of the kindest principals you'll see, and he's really there for the students. Sorry, I'm not really good at speaking in front of adults. But he helped me adjust to elementary life, and he helped me get to how I can be more comfortable in front of younger grades instead of middle schoolers, which I was used to. He has a really good heart. He's there for our students. He's there for our staff. Everybody deserves a second chance. Second chances are not given to make things right, but they are given to prove that we could be better even after we fail. So he definitely deserves another chance. Thank you.
Thank you, teachers, for coming out. We need to move on to our meeting. Any more? Ms. Soto. Okay, thank you, Ms. Soto. Seeing none, hearing none, I close the public hearing and I adjourn to a closed session to discuss items 1 through 1D. The board will reconvene at the closed session of closed session. At the closed session. Thank you. Good evening. It is 6:37 and I call this regular meeting to order. Welcome to tonight's board meeting. I would like to welcome the media and everyone joining us in person and via Zoom. Please note Superintendent Lyle will not be in attendance this evening. Therefore, Deputy Superintendent Sandon Schwartz will serve as Secretary of the Board for this meeting. If you would like to make a public comment, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk at the opening of each public comment period. Deputy Superintendent Schwartz.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, staff, and members of the public, I would like to remind you of our vision and mission. Madera Unified will set the standard for hard work, creativity, and resiliency with a fearless drive to continuously improve. And we are committed to creating and sustaining a culture enabling Madera Unified students to experience an unparalleled educational journey that is intellectually, socially, and personally transformative. That is the nature of our work this evening.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz. Roll call. At this time, I ask everyone joining this meeting to please silence any electronic devices that are not linked to this meeting. Mrs. Soto, please call the roll.
Sure. Trustee Ahmad,
Here.
Trustee Cortez, Trustee Dybert,
Here.
Trustee Fleek,
Here.
Trustee Seibert,
Here.
Clerk Mendoza,
Here.
and President Salazar.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Soto. Trustee Seibert, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Ready? Salute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Trustee Seibert. Tonight's scheduled invocation will be provided by Pastor Fred Thurman of New Life Assembly. I invite Pastor Thurman to the podium.
We bow our heads just for a moment and we thank the Lord this evening. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to gather today again in your presence. We ask God for your wisdom and insight in the decision-making processes for the school district and the many different decisions that must be made. We thank you, Father God, that the Holy Spirit would bring guidance and wisdom to all of us here today concerning our students and for the good of our students. We give you praise and we give you thanks. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Thurman. Closed session reportable actions, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz.
Staff has no closed session actions to report this evening.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz. Adoption of the agenda, action to add or delete items from any portion of the agenda or to discuss any consent agenda items must be taken prior to the adoption of the agenda. Deputy Superintendent Schwartz, does staff have items to add or remove from the agenda?
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board, staff has no changes to the agenda this evening.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz. Trustees, do you have any items to add or delete from the agenda? No, thank you. Trustees, do I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented? Please state your name when making a motion and I second the motion.
Clerk Mendoza, I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you.
Adopt it.
Do I have a second?
Trustee Ahmad, second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Clerk Mendoza and second by Trustee Ahmad to adopt the agenda as presented. Ms. Soto, please pull the board up for the record.
Trustee Ahmad,
Yes.
Trustee Cortez, Trustee Dybert,
Yes.
Trustee Fleek,
Yes.
Trustee Seibert,
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Salazar.
Yes.
President Salazar, I counted 6 ayes, 0 noes, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Soto. Communication, the Madera minutes. Deputy Superintendent Schwartz.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board, I invite you to watch a video that highlights some of the outstanding activities in our district over the last 2 weeks and since our last board meeting.
We start this Madera Minutes by congratulating Persian Elementary School. The Panthers earned the Bronze Award in the Fresno Bee's Best of Central California in the category of elementary schools. The People's Choice Award honors and recognizes the best places, businesses, and activities in the Central Valley. Madera Unified Black Student Union celebrated the freedom, independence, and citizenship of 4 million Black Americans after ending slavery in 1865. The Juneteenth event welcomed the community to Madera South High School. Attendees enjoyed cultural performances, including an African drum circle, hip-hop, stomp, and more. In other things, Madera Unified kickstarted the educational summer fun with its Summer Enrichment Program. The free program provides several exciting academic and enrichment classes for students of MUSD. And MUSD leaders and educators, including Superintendent Todd Lyle, Area Assistant Superintendent Lalo Lopez, and elementary principals Cristina Richey and Adalberto Hernandez, traveled south of the border to the birthplace of corn and squash, the state of Oaxaca in Mexico. There they visited an elementary, a high school, a university, and a language school. They also learned about the Oaxaqueños culture and how they incorporate it into their everyday lives, including their schools. Those who visited hope to incorporate what they learned during their school year. And back to Madera, the district's annual classified conference brought together hundreds of MUSD employees. The conference allowed classified employees to learn about some of the great things MUSD offers and participated in workshops for professional and personal growth.
Thank you, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz. Public hearing for visitors who wish to speak on a subject not on the board agenda. Mrs. Soto?
15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the school board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. If the subject is an item on the agenda, the board president has the option of asking the speaker to hold the comment until that item is called. Comments on items listed as a public hearing on the agenda should be held until the hearing is opened. The school board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Seeing or hearing no others, I close the public hearing. Information and reports. 7A1, review the 2023 California Dashboard Local Performance Indicators. Deputy Superintendent Schwartz.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board, I believe Associate Superintendent Cheryl Sissel will be presenting this item tonight with, I think, some help from a couple of our directors.
Good evening, President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board. Tonight, I will be giving an update on the LCAP local performance indicators, and I will be assisted in this presentation by Assistant Superintendent Marshall and Director Elia Medina. The purpose of the presentation this evening is the purpose of the presentation this evening is in conjunction with the approval of the LCAP, which will be an action item a little bit later in the meeting. The CDE and EdCode both require there to be a public presentation of Madera Unified's progress on what are considered the local performance indicators. So There's a couple slides here that are simply just informational in nature. The local control funding formula is a formula that determines how all local educational agencies in the state are funded. There's 3 types of funding. There's base grant funding, supplemental grant funding, and concentration grant funding. The base grant is the funding we receive for all students. Supplemental grant funding is calculated by the percentage of English learners, low income, and foster youth. Currently, we're about 91% of our student population that meets one of those 3 qualifications. And when you get down into concentration grant, it's calculated by that same percentage, but it's based on the percentage above the unduplicated pupil count. And if you have questions specifically about those 2 funding sources, I would ask CFO Garcia to come up and explain that. But that's really not the purpose. It's just to let you know that we're looking at the 3 different funding sources. The LCAP is a 3-year plan that describes the goals, actions, services, and expenditures to support positive student outcomes that address state and local priorities. The LCAP provides an opportunity for LEAs to share their stories of how, what, and why programs and services are selected to meet their local needs. So as I mentioned, in a couple items down on the agenda, we'll be asking for approval of our 22-23 LCAP this evening. So what I'd like to do now is share with you an update on the local performance indicators. So the state has 8 state priorities. And those 8 priorities, 2 of them are part of the California dashboard, okay? We have to look at 5 of them locally, and we're required locally to monitor those. So the 5 local indicators that I'm going to review with you right now is under basic services and conditions, implementation of state standards, parent engagement, school climate, and access to a broad course of study. And if you're trying to figure out which presentation I'm on, it's the presentation. You should have a copy of it that says the update on the performance indicators. So priority number 1, basic services and conditions. Under basic services and conditions, there's 3 areas that we have to address publicly. And these are going to sound somewhat familiar if you go back to when you have when Madera County Superintendent of Schools comes and reports on our Williams visits. These are aligned to some of the same criteria that we have to address during our Williams visit. So the 3 local indicators that we report on is the percentage of students without access to their own copies of standards aligned instructional materials for use at school and at home. That number for us is 0. The number of identified instances where facilities do not meet the good repair standard, including deficiencies and extreme deficiencies, for us, that number is 0. So it was 0 in 2020-21, and it's 0 in 21-22. I'll remind you that when you're looking at the local indicators, just like when we review in the LCAP, there's always a 1-year lag. So the indicators that we're reporting on tonight are for 21-22. And next year, when we close the cycle, we'll report on 22-23. In your presentation for the 3rd line, which is the percentage of misassignments of teachers of English learners, total teacher misassignments, and vacant teacher positions, I believe on your presentation, you might have NA. As of about 2:00 this afternoon, with the help of Assistant Superintendent Aiello and his team, we were able to go through and get some actual numbers there. I didn't feel comfortable just telling you that it was something that we didn't have. What you should know is that starting in 21-22, we no longer self-report on these 3 questions. Now that information is generated through what's called the CalPADS reporting system. So with that, the numbers we went through and reporting, these are the numbers we reported to the state this year. Yep.
22 and 22-23, but that says 2021 and 21-22.
This is correct. Yep, they're lagging indicators.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So the percentage of misassignments of teachers of English learners this year was 3.2%. So that number is generated based on the number of teachers that are teaching in our English learner, teaching designated ELD, which means a self-contained classroom where teachers are teaching our English language learners. We reported that we had a total of 26 teachers out of 870 total teachers in the district that were not meeting the qualification to teach English learners. I want to explain that to you. What that means is all of those teachers had a credential. So I don't want anybody to think that we had teachers teaching English learners that weren't credentialed. What it means is they were credentialed with an English language arts credential or a foreign language or world languages credential. Most recently, I think it's been within the last 2 years, the authorization requirement to teach English learners from the state has changed. And so we currently have 9 teachers that currently are scheduled to be teaching ELD in the fall that are in courses through UC San Diego so that they can clear and have their EL authorization. So I can't guarantee you that next year we're going to have 0 teachers that are misassigned. But the number will be much less, I would predict, than 26, because we went through, with the help of Joe's department, Assistant Superintendent Aiello, and created a plan for our teachers who are scheduled to teach designated ELD next year. And if they didn't meet the EL authorization, we helped support them, and they are currently enrolled in UC San Diego to take an online set of courses to become authorized to teach English learners. So that number should decrease. When you look at the number total teacher misassignments, so up there you'll see there's 41 teachers out of, again, 870 as our base number of teachers that were teaching based on the requirements in misassignments. But I'm going to take you through why that was in 21-22, okay? You all are aware that we started the Teacher Support Mentor Program. So when we started that program, we approved 10 for elementary and 10 for secondary. That first year, we didn't hire any in secondary, and we had 2 openings in we didn't hire, am I getting it wrong? 14 and 14. So for a total of 24. So right off the bat, out of that 41 teachers that come up as vacancies, they weren't classroom teacher positions. They were teachers on special assignment. So there's 24 there. We also had 1 secondary ELD DAC position that was never filled. We had 4 elementary, you'll remember we started the elementary elective rotation, and we had 4 elementary elective teacher positions that were not filled. We also had staffed for the K-8 independent study program at Furman, and we had 2 positions that we didn't need to fill because the enrollment didn't rise like we thought it would. And then we also had on our books 1 position for CalSafe at Mount Vista, and that program had been closed. So out of the 41 teachers we had to list as misassignments, 32 of them were not in classrooms. So the number of misassigned the number of vacancies was 9 that would have actually been in classrooms. But we have to report because anybody who's a teacher on special assignment is still recorded as a teacher. So the number of 41 no, I skipped. Should have done, so that's vacant teacher positions, okay? Vacant teacher positions is 32, and we listed 43. So there was 9 of those that were in classes, 32 that were positions not filled, but they were not classroom positions. They were outside of the classroom. Misassignments is 41 teachers. So the total number of teachers that were in what is called a misassignment was 41 teachers. And a misassignment, we have to say or share that we had misassignments, and that is There's three main reasons for that. The first one is any of our teachers that are on what's called a stipulated, we call it a STIP, short-term intern permit. That means that they're subject matter competent, but they don't have a credential yet. The other type is called a PIP, which means they have a degree. They come to us with a degree, but they have no experience and they haven't started a program to become credentialed yet. And then we also have something called committee on assignment. And a committee on assignment means they're a credentialed teacher. An example would be our band directors who teach PE band. So they have a credential to meet the band requirements, but they don't have the credential to teach PE, but because they have experience teaching PE, we can put them on what's called a committee on assignment. The other sort of reason for the committee on assignment, as an example, was when we started the elementary elective programs. We had art teachers, we have elementary art being taught by teachers with multiple subject credentials. So obviously hiring 18 or 20 single subject art positions is difficult. So Assistant Superintendent Ayalo and his team have to meet with every teacher and they have to write what's called a committee on assignment. So our number of misassignments is a total of 41. And those are the reasons why we have those misassignments. So I will stop right there to answer if you have any questions on that. I just wanted to be completely transparent on that information so that everybody understands.
Trustees, do you have any questions?
The 43 is the number of vacant positions. And the vacant positions, again, is what I explained. There was, of those 43, 32 were actually teaching positions that were not in the classroom. Yep. Okay. Next is under implementation of state standards. So under implementation of state standards, there are different prompts that we have to address. Prompt number 1 is looking at our progress in providing professional learning for teachers to recently adopted academic standards and/or curriculum framework. So if you look down this list, you'll see that we have to talk about, are we providing professional learning for teachers under English language arts, English language development, mathematics, next generation science standards, and history and social science. We rated ourselves under English language arts as full implementation and sustaining. ELD, you'll notice that last year or the previous year, it was reported as full implementation and sustainability. We rated it in our department this year under full implementation, mostly because we've started this huge initiative around English language development, and we're still working on that. We're also implementing a new newcomers program, so we didn't feel like we were at the sustainability level just yet. In mathematics, we are at full implementation and sustainability. With the next gen science standards, it's full implementation, and history and social science, it's full implementation. So that is the work that our DACs at the district level do. That's the professional learning that we provide to school sites and to teachers. Prompt number 2 under implementation of state standards is the prompt around our progress in making instructional materials that are aligned to the academic standards and/or curriculum framework as identified below, available in all classrooms. So again, under English language arts, we listed full implementation and sustainability. Under English language development, we were under what we consider a full implementation. Under mathematics, full implementation with sustainability, and next generation science standard and history and social science, full implementation. Under the implementation of policies or programs to support staff in identifying areas where they can improve in delivering instruction. So this is looking at, for an example, like our collaboration time in our elementary schools and in our high schools when they meet and meet in collaborative teams, focused classroom walkthroughs, teacher pairings are examples of things that you would see. we don't find yet that we're in a full implementation in sustainability, but we do have some of those pieces in place. So we rated ourselves with full implementation in all of those areas. And then lastly, we look at the implementation of state standards in the other adopted academic areas. So you're looking at CTE, health education, physical education, visual and performing arts, and world languages. So under CTE, strong one for us, full implementation and sustainability. Health education, full implementation and sustainability. Physical education, model content standards, full implementation and sustainability. Under the visual and performing arts, we moved from beginning development to initial implementation. This work is being led by Director Brandon Gillis, but as we have gotten into the model framework, some of you who sit on the Arts Education Advisory Committee know that we have some work to do. We have certain pathways we don't even offer yet in our district. So we're moving towards that, and we have continued plans to work towards a full implementation, but right now we still feel like we're in an initial implementation phase there. And then under world languages, this past year we had a district academic coach that supported world languages, so we got a lot of work done in our Spanish and our French classroom. So we feel like we're at full implementation there under the implementation of the standards. And then lastly, under this area is our success in engaging the following activities with teachers and school administrators. So we have to look at, are we able to identify the professional learning needs of groups of teachers or staff as a whole, identifying the professional learning needs of individual teachers, and providing support for teachers on the standards they have not yet mastered. We feel like in Ed Services that we have finally reached a place where the old model in educational services was kind of one size fits all. We trained every teacher on the same thing, whether they need it or not. We have definitely moved away from that model and gone to more of a service-based model. And both elementary and secondary curriculum instruction have systems now, and also an assessment where teachers are able to reach out for help. Our district academic coaches are coming in, scheduled, asked by teachers to come in and support teachers. So again, we feel really confident that groups of teachers or individual teachers both have a really a much more appropriate way in which now to receive training to improve themselves professionally. And then using a lot of our assessment data and the tools that come with our assessments and standards, we're able to really see where teachers and students aren't performing, and we're able to help teachers identify those standards and identify where they might need additional support. So we feel like that's one of the strongest areas in educational services. So next is parent engagement. So I'm going to invite Director Elia Medina up here to join me.
Good evening, President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz. I'm just going to talk briefly about the parent engagement component. So for the first slide, for building relationships between school staff and families, through the work with ISET, our staff and teachers have been able to build capacity in creating welcoming environments, and we also implement that in the parent resource centers in making sure that our families have a welcoming environment and our students have a welcoming environment in the classroom. We also host a workshop that is called Building Lines of Communications, and that is designed to pretty much educate our parents in knowing how to navigate Parent Square, which is the main method of communication that we use as a district. And so not only for them to know how to read the newsfeed to be up to date as to the communication that goes out to them, but also know how to use the features within Parent Square, which is able to communicate with their teachers directly, with their child's teacher directly, being able to send them a text message, even if it's in Spanish, even if the educators or the parents are monolingual, they're still able to communicate. So we make sure that we teach parents how to navigate Parent Square really well and how to get acquainted with it. For the upcoming school year, we're hoping to focus on enhancing more meaningful two-way communication between home and school. We're also part of the statewide community engagement initiative, which is a networking of different school districts throughout California, and we're learning best practices from other districts as to how to better engage our families in authentic ways. And so we're hoping to bring more culturally responsive learning opportunities for our educators to gain a deeper understanding of the district's families, their assets and challenges, so that they are able to engage in meaningful conversations with their families and support them in knowing how to support their child's academic learning at home. And so we did a little bit of that through the Student Champion as well. We did a lot of some of the videos in where we interviewed some of the parents so that they are able to share their experience as parents within our district. For the next slide, building partnerships for student outcomes, we rated ourselves as force, full implementation. Our Department of Community Services and Parent Resource Centers offered in this last school year over 25 unique learning opportunities for our families. We had about 2,100 unique participant parents that participated in all the learning opportunities that were offered to them district-wide at multiple sites, virtually and in person. And so a lot of our program is very holistic, where we include mental health, social emotional support for our parents, evidence-based parenting classes, literacy and math nights, college and career readiness, and a lot of various topics to just support them as parents. In the new year, we're going to be working with our Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment with the new literacy grant, which has a parent engagement component in it, so that we're able to educate our parents in knowing how to support the literacy learning of their child at home. We're also going to be enhancing our current newcomers program as suggested by the parents in the revision of the LCAP to assure the parents that are new to our community and new to our district are linked to resources within our school district and within our community as well. And for the other one, seeking input for decision making, we also rated ourselves as fully implemented. This year, as you know, there was a lot of new approaches and practices that were done in truly seeking parent input for decision-making activities. There were multiple DLAC and LCAP listening sessions that were hosted in person throughout the school district to be able to really seek input from parents. And they had the opportunity to let us know what kind of resources they still feel are lacking and what they think would benefit, they can benefit from. And for the annual Parent and Community Engagement Conference that we host every year, we're going to be hosting the 7th one. We have a planning committee and where parents are able to provide input. Pretty much they are the ones who plan the entire conference to be able to have keynote speakers that are of relevance and of interest to them and topics of interest for the different breakout sessions, and just picking out the logistics of the conference so that it's more meaningful to them. If they're part of the planning committee, they have more buy-in, right? They're more committed to it. And then one of the purposes of the Parent Champion video series that we launched last year was to raise awareness and increase knowledge in our parent community as to knowing how to get involved, how to get engaged within our school district, and how to participate in all those decision-making meetings like ELAC, DLAC, School Site Council, all those meetings that a lot of our parents probably do not know what they're for. And so we have a lot of the videos that have been created specifically for that, so our parents have no doubt as to how to engage and communicate with our school district and how to access the resources that we have available for them. That's all I have. Do you guys have any questions?
I think it's important, the first, where you rated the LES progress in building the capacity, supporting principals and staff. I attended a few school site council meetings, and most of them are staff, probably one parent, some of them no parents that attended. So I'm glad that you're focusing on that to try to engage more parents in the local decision of their school site. So thank you.
Any other questions, trustees? Can you put your speaker on?
Sorry. How many languages this is available on the dashboard other than Spanish?
This dashboard?
Yeah. I mean,
or the videos?
the videos and the dashboard, the site.
The videos that were developed as part of the Parent Champion video series are in 4 languages: Mixteco, Punjabi, English, and Spanish.
Mixteco, Punjabi, English, and okay. Thank you.
And our LCAP was in Spanish, Punjabi, and English. As far as the actual dashboard, Adam, do you know that answer? I believe it's just English. Yeah, that's published through the California Department of Ed, and I've only seen it in Spanish. We could jump on there. But locally, we're having things translated in, at a minimum, English and Punjabi. I mean, Spanish and
Spanish.
Punjabi. Yeah.
Thank you.
And we started that last year. I don't think it had been done in Punjabi before that.
Thank you.
Trustees, any more questions? No, thank you. Next.
All right, so next will be Mr. Marshall, and he's going to take you through the panorama survey data that we utilize for our school climate work. Yep.
Good evening, President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, and Deputy Superintendent Schwartz. I'm going to give a brief definition of each of the areas that we look at in our focus with our Panorama platform, which is the selected tool that we use to measure culture and climate within our school sites here in Madera Unified School District. So our within the 4 areas, the first area is school safety, and that captures the perceptions of student physical and psychological safety while at school. School belonging is another area. How much do students feel that they are valued members of the school community? School engagement is the other area. Perceptions of student levels of excitement, involvement, and experience within the learning environment. And lastly, school climate refers to the quality and character of school life. A positive school climate helps individuals feel socially and emotionally and physically safe. So it's more of the feel of the campus when you're on the campus and how the campus operates as an ecosystem. The Panorama Education Survey is designed to capture student voice and allow students to express their perspectives about teaching and learning, culture and climate, and their classroom experiences. Our Panorama survey is given once in the fall and once in the spring. So we'll start off with the 3rd through 5th grade district-wide data. And the first 2 areas that we have here are school belonging and school safety. So in our school belonging for 3rd through 5th, we fall at a 64%. Which places us compared to other districts nationwide in an 80th percentile, the 80th percentile compared to the national average. So that's definitely something to be extremely proud of. We're kind of over the hump of the bell curve there. School safety for our 3rd through 5th grade students comes in at, what do I have here? 63%. Which places us once in a 70th percentile, which is still relatively high in comparison to other districts if we're looking at the national average. So 3rd through 5th grade, we'll take a quick look at school climate and school engagement. And I forgot to mention, so here at the bottom, you have the types of questions that are asked of students that relate to that specific area of focus. So for example, under school belonging, students will see a question posed: how much support do the adults at your school give you? How much respect do students at your school show you? And then on the school safety side, I can't read that far, which is a little embarrassing, but there's a reason for it. Questions under school safety: how likely is it that someone from your school will bully you? How often do you worry about violence at your school? So those are some of the questions that are asked within those areas. Back to school climate here. Third through fifth, school climate 61%, which places us in the 4th percentile, national average. And then I have sample questions here. Under school climate, how positive or negative is the energy at school? How fair or unfair are the rules for the students at this school? School engagement at 55%, which places us in the 60th percentile. And then questions posed there. How focused are you in the activities in your classes? How interested are you in your classes? So those are the pieces that are captured through the student engagement piece. And that covers our 3rd through 5th grade district-wide data in comparison to those 4 areas. 6 through 12, secondary. We know it changes a little bit, but these results here are we can be pretty excited about, pretty happy, considering the amount of hoax and other things that TikTok has put us under pressure on this school year. School safety rated at 56%, which places us in the 50th percentile against the national average, and then school belonging for students that are 6 through 12. 63% and places at a 70th percentile, which is fairly high. As we shift into the next slide, this data isn't going to be as favorable as the data that we've currently looked at. So not really saving the best for last, but the most challenging for last. As research tells us, aspects of academic factors that may influence students' transition into middle school include changing classes, getting good grades, being able to choose classes, hard or unfriendly teachers, pressures to do well, harder classes, amount of homework. So the big transition from elementary into secondary for me is going from a single classroom or single teacher into 7 or more teachers, right? So there's some adjustments that are going on there that research speaks to. So this isn't my opinion, that some of our secondary students are going through as they're transitioning. And of course, we know there's a lot going on with the chemical hormones and other things that are happening during that time. The flip side to that is that there is an increased independence that students experience. They're making new friends as you're coming from different elementaries and joining at one site. And then once you leave the middle school and go to high school, you're joining and learning more about other peers that are within our system. And there's an increase in opportunity to participate in new activities such as clubs and sports. So there is an opportunity that we have at our fingertips to really have an impact to mitigate a lot of these a lot of the data that's shared here. So school climate rated at 39% is placed at the 10th percentile, which is pretty low. School engagement is at 22%, which is also placed at the 10th percentile for our secondary as well. I reached out and did a little research with our sites as far as focuses to mitigate some of this data. So I know a lot of our middle schools support incoming 6th graders with a campus tour when they come and pick up their schedules. There's some other leadership opportunities and kids that they can link them to on campus to provide them an opportunity to feel some belonging. And in a comprehensive middle school, it's 2 years and you're off to high school, right? So it's a really quick turnaround. It's a quick adjustment for some of our students to make, but there are being things that are put in place to mitigate and improve this data. I think another huge portion for us has been the student voice meetings, really being able to sit in and listen to some of the challenges or struggles that our students are facing and working towards meeting them where they are and providing resources to support that. I am happy to say, moving into our upcoming school year, our team came up with an hypothesis of, you find research can show that students that are more involved or engaged in co-curricular or extracurricular activities are going to be a lot more successful in school. So taking advantage of Adam and his ability to create an opportunity to track students that are involved or engaged in extracurricular, co-curricular activities and to check their success, even against those who may not be, is a good experiment for us to focus on, and then really aiming to push and support students to get involved and engage in programs that are outside of the classroom. So those are a few things that I came up with. I'm sure there are many more. So as far as the panorama data, that's the data and information I have to share. If there's any questions, I can hopefully answer.
Trustees,
some
do you
of
have any
those.
questions?
Yes. So with this information, the climate and school engagement, have you put surveys out to the kids? Besides this, it's find out why they're rating us so low. Because you bring up a lot of excuses of middle school and all this, but something else going on, because there's all these other schools that are on the survey, nationwide. They have the same problems. So
Yeah.
what are the kids saying?
Trying to think of the best way to answer that. I think nationwide, collectively, I think that's what the research speaks to as far as that dip, right? But as far as what you're speaking to, Madera Unified, I think
We're
what
on the bottom of that, of nationwide. And we're okay on a lot of the other stuff. So have we asked the kids what's going on? Why is the climate, why do they feel the climate is where it's at?
and that's where our student voice.
Is it teacher, they think that teachers don't care about them, or attitude, or I think you need to research the kids more,
Yes.
find out the answers to these questions.
Yeah, and we're on to that. I think our student voice sessions gives our students that opportunity to share out some of the challenges that you mentioned.
They're pretty low. That's really low on those two items.
Yeah.
Prince or Mr. Marshall, we also have a contract with Parsec that they are going to develop, the program and opportunities for students to share those exact feelings and opinions with staff. Is that correct?
Correct. And a lot of that can be in lifetime, right? Instead of waiting for fall semester, you can collect that data. The goal is to collect that data in lifetime.
So I have a question.
Trustees, do we have any other questions? Trustee Dyer.
Yes. So I noticed that the first set of data is from grades 3 to 5,
Yes.
which is pretty, 3 to 5, the age span is pretty short. This one goes from grade 6 to 12. And I'm wondering which grades are the ones that are giving us the lower? Because I'm thinking with student voice at the high school level, students, I think, are pretty much engaged. So would this be more true like to the 7th and 8th grade that is bringing these percentages down? Is there a way that Panorama Survey can separate them so for trustees to see where, and you maybe, or maybe you already have that information, where to see like, is it the 6th grade, the 7th or 8th grade that is really feeling this way more than the 9 through 12? So that would be interesting to see what Trustee Seibert is saying too. I would like to see that whenever you have time.
Most definitely. We can see if we can pull that out and disaggregate that out. I know that from being a middle school administrator, we typically have seen a dip in that transition from 6th to 7th. But it'd be interesting to see what Madera Unified's where that dip is taking place in that secondary range.
I think I'm kind of guessing that you're right, and I think that's what probably. But I would like to see the good. If it's maybe 9 to 12 is above, but then
Right.
because of this is bringing the lower percentage, and it makes us look like all our kids in those grade levels are really not feeling engaged or they don't belong. So that would help us a little more.
Most definitely.
And Trustee Dybert, we can break that down for you. I believe we did take a look at it in our executive cabinet about a week ago. And I was surprised. I've kind of thought exactly like you did, that it was going to be the middle school that had the lowest numbers. I believe, if I'm correct, it was the high schools. Yeah, the middle school data was a little higher than I actually suspected. But we can get you that breakdown so you can take a look at it as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Taking any of, for example, grade 3 to 5, so we have 61%. So how many participants did the survey that we came up with 61%? How do we
As
know
far
that?
as secondary, you're speaking to?
Yeah.
3 to 4, 5.
No.
Elementary?
Yeah, the 61%.
Okay, for school climate?
61% grade,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that the threshold for Panorama, and I can go back and we can pull the data as far as the actual numbers. I think our threshold to make the data valid and reliable is at least 70%, but a lot of our schools are pushing way past that 70%. So the data is very reliable as far as what we've been able to collect, and Panorama has shared that with us in most of our surveys. Like, you guys are surpassing, but of course we want to get everyone's input to make the data, lack of better term, super reliable, right? But this is valid and reliable. Yeah.
Trustees, do you have any other questions?
I have one more comment. And then also, I would like to know when in the school year this was given to the students, if it was at the beginning, middle, or towards the end of the school year, when you submit that report.
Okay.
That'll be good.
Sounds
Thank you.
good.
Okay, and then, Trustee Mendoza, okay.
All right. Thank you.
I haven't finished. So I haven't-
Oh,
my
I'm sorry. I
questions
thought I
yet.
was dismissed.
No. So on this report, on these surveys for 3rd to 5th, mostly like Trustee Dybert is pointing out, on these reportings, I would like to see it more broken down between each grade.
Okay.
And I want to see it by site. And I want to see what is it that we're implementing to reach the students. And also think of maybe changing some of these questions, more relatable to the student.
The questions are fixed within Panorama.
Mhm.
Teachers are supported. The Culture and Climate Department has kind of a teaching log on how to define some of the language that are within the questions to better support the students in answering the questions, so they have a better understanding of what they're responding to. But for the most part, they are pretty fixed.
Okay. So, but yeah, breaking down the data more to see what sites are implementing, like we have some that are 61%, and you were saying some of them can be pushing 70. What are those sites doing to change that climate?
Okay.
So see how we can share with the other school sites. That way gives us more detail on the different schools. And like you were saying that, Superintendent Schwartz was saying that it looks like middle school actually was responding a little bit higher. And so what is it that, again, those grades, what sites are they from? And what is it we're doing to, do we need to change the way we're engaging more with them, getting more response from them? The student voice, are we really reaching out to various students, or are we focusing on certain students only? Try to mix up the students that we're surveying.
We're surveying all students.
Yeah, but the response, if you're surveying 500 students in one school site or 1,000, how many of those are we actually getting back? Of all the 1,000 coming back, or we're only getting 500 back?
Okay. It's a higher percentage than that, but we'll get those numbers for you.
Thank you.
And Salazar, when your question kind of prompted me to ask, how about the newcomers? Do they get their survey in their own language, or students that don't speak English?
I think. Panorama.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I can leave now?
Yes.
Okay.
You're dismissed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. One more metric for us to look at. The last one is under priority 7, which is access to a broad course of study. So under access to a broad course of study, the prompt asks us, and I'm going to read it from the appendix so that I don't mess it up. It's looking at, we're supposed to identify areas that are sometimes barriers to providing a broad course of study. So this information that we're sharing is some data points, but you'll see that we've identified some areas that essentially make it more difficult for our students in grades 9 through 12 to meet the college and career readiness indicator. And so areas that we are addressing for an access abroad course of study, which would mean that all students have access to meet A to G requirements. All students have access to take dual enrollment courses. All students have access to complete a CTE pathway. All students have access to take their arts education classes. And so what we've identified here as some key indicators is that 489 students completed one or more of our 25 career pathway offerings. Trustee Dybert, when I met with her yesterday, that's the raw number that equates to that percentage that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. So, when you look at all three of our high schools, that number's not necessarily where we want it to be, especially considering, I would say, not just in our state, but nationwide, we offer some of the highest quality career pathways anywhere. But we offer them. It's difficult for students to complete a full pathway. So as a reminder, these 489 students had to take a minimum of 3 years in a pathway. So that means in their 4 years of high school, they enrolled in one pathway set of courses for 3 years. That means they took it their 9th, 10th, 11th, 9th, 10th, 12th, any combination of 3 years in the same pathway. So we had 489 students that were able to do that. This number is one that, if Director McKenna were here, I think she would be really proud of. We have 716 students that received college credit in 21-22 through the completion of dual enrollment coursework with Madera Community College. So that number's actually something to be really proud of. And when compared to surrounding school districts, we are doing really well in the area of dual enrollment. 25.6 of our students enroll in at least one AP or honors course. 34% of our 8th grade students, total enrollment, are enrolled at MTech. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but the one major reason that we find as an issue for our students to access all of the opportunities is Madera Unified is still operating under a 6-period day. So under a 6-period day, I listed some specific subgroup or student groups that are never going to be able to meet a broad course of study. As an example, our emergent multilingual students, our English learners, they're required to take designated ELD, and in a 6-period day, designated ELD is their elective course. They would never get the opportunity to meet certain A to G coursework, as well as any of the career pathway courses. Our students with disabilities are oftentimes unable to access our CTE pathways and other elective offerings because they're taking reading lab and other classes that are identified through their IEP to ensure their success. And then without alternative offerings, so I can tell you Madera Unified, we've tried for the last 2 years to offer 0-period and 7th period for students so that they can make up credit so that they can build in an elective. Our students struggle to attend a 0 or 7th period day unless we can, find a way to get them at school at 6:55 in the morning, because that's when 0 period starts, or have them stay till like 4:30 or 4:45. That's a challenge. So we have offered multiple courses in 0 period and 7th period. We just don't get the enrollment or the participation in those courses because our students and families have a hard time meeting that. So I would want you guys to know that Madera Unified has a broad course of study. We meet the requirements of a broad course of study. What we have are challenges for all of our students to be able to access a broad course of study due to our number of students who require credit recovery, our number of high school students who are long-term English learners. Specifically, those two groups are having to enroll in designated ELD and also having to take credit recovery courses and aren't able to then enroll in the elective courses or AP courses or A to G courses, if you will.
Of our 716 students that took college dual enrollment, did we have any that graduated with their high school diploma and an AA from the community college?
We don't, our program is not set up to meet that level of participation with the community college. So at this point, our largest offering of dual enrollment courses that I can recall, and I believe Director McKenna is online, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a couple of our pathways where students can earn up to 12 or 14 college credits, but we do not offer the program where they earn their associate's degree and their high school diploma simultaneously. Now, a student that's really motivated can enroll and do that work, but as a district, we did not adopt that program. And we are working very closely to continue to grow our relationship with Madera Community College. It's not as simple as one might think. The community college gets to decide what courses we can offer for dual enrollment. And so we've been working on that relationship as well, so that we currently, I can say this, we currently have teachers who are qualified to teach dual enrollment that haven't yet been approved by the community college. So we can still offer more offerings if we can get community college approval. But what you're referring to is like a course of study where the students start their summer of their 8th grade year and they take X amount of dual enrollment courses all the way through their 4 years of high school and summer, and they graduate with their associate's degree and their high school diploma. And we as a district do not have that program currently.
Albert, you got a question?
Yes, so the emerging multilingual students who have to take those ELD courses, that's at the secondary level, right?
Grades 7 through 12, yep.
7 to 12. How many years do they have to take those ELD courses for?
Until they redesignate. There's no set number. If they have to take, as long as they're classified as an English learner and they don't meet the criteria to reclassify, they must take designated ELD.
So ideally, if a student is, let's say, is progressing, is it usually 4 years, 3 years of ELD? I mean, it's
Depends when they enroll in our schools. If they enroll in kindergarten with us, we would, in a perfect world, all of our elementary school students that enroll in kinder that are English learners would reclassify by 6th grade. We don't have that level of a rate yet, but it becomes tremendously more difficult and challenging for students when they enter into middle school and high school if they don't reclassify. Now, we have students who don't come to us, though, in kinder. They come to us in the intermediate grades or the middle school or high school. So until they meet the reclassification criteria, they must take designated ELD every year. The state requires it. And it has to be offered during whatever our regular school day is. So like we can't say we're going to offer designated ELD during 0 period and 7th period so they can take an elective during the day. The state requires us to offer designated ELD during the regularly scheduled day, and they're supposed to be able to meet all of the same offerings that a non-English learner student would have.
Fleek, you had a question?
Yeah. It says students with disabilities are unable to access CTE or, so if we have 7 periods, would that change for them and they'd be able to?
7 periods would help all students. Students that are not in some of those student groups would be able to take 2 electives, but it would ensure that our English learner students, our students with disabilities, and our credit deficient students would be able to meet their requirements for their specialized program, as well as enroll in a CTE pathway or arts education pathway course or general elective.
Would we have to do anything else to get our students with disabilities?
What's that?
Would we have to do anything else besides the 7 periods to get our students with disabilities to have access to the CTE?
Nope, they get free, the law calls for them to be able to enroll in any of those courses. Teachers just have to provide the appropriate supports necessary. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So you got a 0 and a 7 period, but that's not a 7 period day.
No.
So they got to come early or they got to stay late.
Yes.
if you offered a 7-period day,
Yes,
they stay within the bounds of
yes,
transportation and everything.
correct.
Do we have any of the high schools that would go?
We are working on it as you speak. President Holder has been a partner with us, traveling to the high schools. We've met with all 3 of the comprehensive high schools. We've done surveys. We've given them an opportunity to provide feedback. So we are working to get that to a vote, hopefully in the fall. I think we're looking for a vote in October. Yeah.
When you do that vote, only be secondary teachers voting, right? Not the whole district.
Yeah, just the high school teachers. Just like when we did the middle school a year ago, just the middle school teachers voted. Yep.
I mean, it looks really good. You got 25.6% of the students taking AP and honors courses. That's surprising. That's great.
Yeah.
You got 489 students completing pathways.
Mhm.
But how many students are taking career pathways? They may not finish a pathway, but they can go from one pathway to another.
We do have students who, come in their freshman year and enroll in a pathway and then they switch. I can tell you that through counseling, we really encourage our students once they enter 10th grade to stay in a pathway because so the idea here is for college and career readiness, and the college and career readiness indicator has 11 different combinations of ways for a student to meet the college and career readiness indicator. Completing a CTE pathway plus earning the seal of biliteracy, completing a CTE pathway plus meeting A to G requirements, completing a CTE pathway and completing a dual enrollment course. What we have found in our district is our highest percentage of students meet the college and career readiness indicator through the CTE pathway plus one of the other metrics. So it's not that we don't have student interest, but in order to meet it, Trustee Seibert, they can't take like a course in automotive, then a course in construction, and then a course in digital media. Even that's 3 courses, but it has to be for us, it has to be in a pathway.
I mean, for me, it's okay if they bounce around because they're trying to find out who they are, what they want to do.
That's why we've taken this work down. That's why we've started the 6th grade career exploration curriculum that highlights all of our pathways. That's why in 7th grade, students have the opportunity to take the wheel course. That's why in the 8th grade, we developed MTech so that students can go there. Then you go into 9th grade, they have a better idea. In 9th grade, if turns out they hate their pathway course, then we counsel them into some other pathway to start that, hopefully 10th grade. Once you get into junior and senior year, they can't even complete a pathway if they bounce around.
So have you seen an increase in pathway completers since we've been doing that?
Well, actually, what you're going to see in a bit is we've seen, as for this cycle, when we looked at 2021 to 21-22, we actually saw a decrease. But we had COVID in there, we had alternate grading systems, and we had a number of students that in COVID got behind in core classes. So when when we opened school for 21-22, we had less students complete pathways, I think, because they were trying to do credit recovery instead. But that's one of the requests that Trustee Dybert asked me to address with the whole board here when I talk about the LCAP. So I wish I could say that we had seen an increase, but actually from 2021 to 21-22, we actually saw a pretty significant decrease.
Okay, I have a question. So one of our students in any of the sites, 8th grader going to 9th, and going through the 4-year high school, at what point do they enroll in an AP class? Do they decide they want in an
AP offerings begin in 10th grade.
10th grade. So in 10th grade, they could start taking AP class.
Yep.
Do they meet with their counselor, or how do they get enrolled in those classes? They meet with their counselor.
Yes, but there's honors courses offered 9th grade. So there are some honors courses offered 9th grade, but AP begins in our current model, AP begins in 10th grade for us.
So our counselors making sure that we're reaching out to these 10th graders, because I've had more in this last, since school ended, in the last 3 weeks, I've had at least 3 students tell me that their counselor messed them up in their AP courses. So now they're taking summer school to try to catch, I guess, they're really good students as far as grades are concerned. But they want a higher grade. And so my concern is, are we reaching out to those students at 10th grade, what AP classes you might be able to want to enroll in?
Yeah, every student has a career or has a counseling appointment. They're scheduled by grade. So, they start in December actually meeting with students, talking about the courses, what they need to graduate and what course offerings are available. Our counselors do that. They start in December and it goes through February.
And so, okay, that's fine. So like now that we're having, okay, that's the 10th graders, so that way they want to do AP courses. So then when they get to 11th grade, they're already seeing if they want to take other AP courses. So when they get to 12th grade and go graduate, their grade point average is going up according to what they themselves want to see them at that level, see themselves at that career readiness level.
Yeah, so actually in 10th grade, AP becomes an option and dual enrollment becomes an option. And both those courses are weighted on a 5-point scale, not a 4-point scale. So if you're taking an AP course or you're taking a dual enrollment course because it's college level work, you're on a 5-point scale, not a 4-point scale, which gives you the higher weighted GPA. And those offerings become available in 10th grade.
Now, to enroll in an AP course as a 10th grader, do you have to have a certain grade point average?
No.
It's
There should be no gatekeeping.
there should
AP
be no
is open
gatekeeping,
to any and all students. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
When we are doing the career pathway of how many years student have to take it? 1 year, 2 year, or 3?
Ask the question one more
The
time.
question is the career pathway.
Yep.
How many years they have to be in this program?
To become a CT completer,
Right.
3 years,
3 years.
minimum of 3.
So, and also this 489 student, what grade they were at when they started from, where they can start it. So 8th grade, 9th grade.
9th grade.
9th grade.
Yep. We start tracking at 9th through 12th grade.
9th to 12.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Let me, okay. Thank you, Mrs. Sissel. Now, union time. At this time, I invite presidents of the unions to address the board. Mr. Holder?
Good evening, Board President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, board members, Deputy Superintendent Swartz. I'll be brief. This is the 3rd week of Madera Summer School, and from the reports that I've gotten and conversations with teachers throughout the district that are doing summer school sessions, it's going very well. Personally, for myself at Furman High School, it's been a very good summer. I definitely appreciate Principal Castrillon, Counselor Fasaka, the staff there, in particular custodian Bennett, and definitely in particular my para-educator, Cecilia Munzon, and the staff and teachers at Furman. They are doing an excellent job, and I got to taste firsthand the impact of Google Classroom and trying to do instruction in person and online. And kudos to all the teachers that have had to do it during the COVID years. It is extremely challenging to do something like that. And again, summer school, from all indicators I've gotten, is going very well throughout the district. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Holder. Any other union presidents? Superintendent Tyne, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz.
I had 2 items to bring up this evening, but they were both covered under the Madera minutes, so I do not have anything to share.
Thank you, Superintendent Schwartz. Consent agenda, Mrs. Soto.
Items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board or staff requests specific items be considered and discussed separately and/or removed from the consent agenda prior to the adoption of the agenda. It is understood that the administration recommends approval on all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended.
And now, okay, go ahead.
If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Seeing no one forward, I close public comment. I now entertain a motion to approve consent agenda. Please state your name when making a motion and a second.
Trustee Dybert, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Trustee Fleek, I'll second.
It has been moved by Trustee Dybert and second by Trustee Fleek to approve the consent agenda. There are two resolutions listed in the consent agenda. Mrs. Soto, please pull the board for the record.
Trustee Ahmad,
Yes.
Trustee Cortez, Trustee Dybert,
Yes.
Trustee Fleek,
Yes.
Trustee Seibert,
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Salazar.
Yes.
President Salazar, I counted 6 ayes, 0 noes, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. At this time, I would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge and thank the following retirees for their services, not only to Madera Unified, but also for their service and commitment to the Madera community. Sylvia Galvin, Cafeteria Playground Aide at Madison, will retire after 15 years of service. Deborah Allen, Paraprofessional Aide at Monroe, will retire after 21 years of service. Old business, educational services, second reading, adoption, approval of the 23-24 local control and accountability plan. Deputy Superintendent Schwartz.
Well, we allowed her to sit down for just about 2 minutes, and Associate Superintendent Sissel is back at the podium.
Good evening, President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board. I have my Director of Continuous Improvement, Adam Bonilla, also joining me this evening, that he can answer any additional questions that maybe I cannot. So thank you for being here, Adam. So I will start with, this is the second read and approval for our 23-24 LCAP. You will recall, I'm sure, at the last board meeting, there were a number of questions. So what I would like to do tonight is take you through publicly all of the responses to those questions. And then also, I met with Trustee Dybert, and she had some questions as well that she would like discussed in the public session today. And so I'm going to take you through those. And hopefully at the end of that, I will have answered all the questions and you all will feel comfortable with the next steps in the process, which I will explain once I go through the responses to the different inquiries. So I'll just start at the top of my list. So one of the questions that came up in our meeting prior was looking at the recommendations from the PAC. As an example, it was brought up to implement financial literacy as a K-12 course of study. And there was a question around why it wasn't listed as a new action. And, you know, if we were going to do it, should there be a new action? So what I wanted to show you is financial literacy is already a course in Madera Unified. So in Madera Unified, when we offer courses, there's a process that's been established in our district for many, many years. So we already have a financial literacy course. What we would like to do and what was written in the response back to PAC was that in 23-24, we would work on what that looks like K-12. It won't be implemented. We won't be teaching financial literacy next year. We don't have to hire any additional staff. And in fact, we don't need to allocate any new budget. If you wanted to take a quick look, you could look on page 58 under Goal 2, Action 1, or you can look under page 70, which is under Goal 3, Action 3, and both of those have a significant dollar amount already allocated in under those actions. And I'm going to turn my document there so I don't mess up exactly what they are. So under Goal 2, Action 1, the action is relevant curriculum and instruction that taps into each individual student's prior knowledge, experiences, and background. And you'll see in that very first paragraph, it talks about creating effective teaching practices and literacy curriculum for all. So we would not need, in this case, to write a new action. We already have budget allocated. We already have staff in place that their job is to research curriculum, research courses, train teachers, go through that whole process. So I want to make sure that the board feels confident that we know, and we responded to PAC, that we're going to spend the 23-24 year planning, and then it would be a implemented new course or new program at some level in 24-25. That sounds so weird to say 2024-2025, but so no new budget is necessary for that particular action. So I want to make sure, did I answer that? Does everybody feel comfortable with that moving forward? Okay. Number 2, there was a number of questions around the newcomer program budget. And so if we look at, let's start with Goal 2, Action 23, which should be on page 62. So if you look at Goal 2, Action 23, this is a new action. So in our previous iterations of the LCAP, there are actions in here that refer to English learners and English learner programs, but we had never specifically called out the newcomer programs. Did I give you guys the wrong page number? It's not on page 62 for you guys? Okay. Okay, I'm trying to read the body language and I see looks and I'm thinking, okay, but okay. So everybody sees where I'm at. I'm looking at the top of page 62. There's a brand new action. It says newcomer program and services for students and families. Okay. All right. So you might recall the question came up previously about what that $587,000 and some change was accounting for and how we came up with that number. So after our last board meeting, CFO Garcia, myself, and Director Bonilla sat down and we went through this. So if you read the description there, it's 2 parts. There's resources for students and there's resources for families. So that amount of money is covering our 2 teachers in the district that are specifically hired to teach newcomers. It also is covering, we have 3 DACs that support English language learners. One of them is more of an expert in the newcomer program, so it's paying for a portion of that person's salary. And then the new piece is in Director Medina's department, the community education department, under the parent resource centers. Part of this work is going to happen out of that department. So we're going to take a portion of what her department costs, and that's built into this. So that $587,000 is looking at newcomer teachers, an ELD DAC, and then approximately 20% of the cost of our parent resource centers. So that's where that $587,000 comes from under Goal 2, Action 23. The other piece that was asked about was, if you turn to page 72, you'll see that's Goal 3, Action 11. This is going to be Goal 3 is under the high quality instructional programs. And you'll see there's about $100,000, I think it's $100,000 is allocated there. Okay, this is also a new action for us. And under the professional learning and support for staff working directly with newcomer students. So I know I've mentioned previously, we're not happy with the program that we've been offering for newcomers, and I've spent a lot of time with our newcomer teacher, specifically at Thomas Jefferson, and some with our newcomer teacher at Madera High School, and with the site admin who oversee those programs. And we need to really invest some additional time in what's happening in the classrooms for our newcomers. So that $100,000 is an approximate amount. We're still working on the actual amount. So there's a possibility you're going to see a contract come through for support for a newcomer program, and it might be more than 100,000, but we kind of did our best estimate that we think it will cost right around $100,000. We currently work with a company called American Reading Company that supports all of our reading intervention labs, our tier 3 reading support, and they're who we're working with to develop a newcomer program. But I'm not one to go out and buy a canned program. I want to make sure that if we're going to invest in it, it's going to meet the needs of our students. So it's taking a little longer because with the help of Director Ochoa and Coordinator Lorenzo in secondary curriculum instruction, we're all working together to try to ensure that we get the best possible program for our newcomers. So that's the newcomer program budget. And that was one of the questions that was brought up. So I think the other piece was, how many newcomers do we have? That was also a question. And that is 226 students as of this year currently met the requirement to be a newcomer in our district. Okay. Do we feel good about the information on the newcomer program? Did I cover the questions that you all had before I move on?
One question. You talking about their not be able to take all the courses because need 7 period day.
Yep.
Have you guys considered block scheduling, like maybe take work periods one day? You know, they don't take all 7 periods in one day.
When we went out to do our listening sessions with high school teachers, we proposed a 7-period block schedule and a traditional 7-period day. So those are both being discussed and getting feedback. Yep. All right. Next was the engaging educational partners. This one was simply an oversight, and I believe it was Trustee Dybert that found this. Hopefully, if you go to page 37 now, you'll see that, and 39, that under engaging educational partners, you'll see that the newcomer responses are now in there that were taken from Torres High School and Madera High School. So those were added in. You'll recall, maybe not, but 2 meetings ago, I did an entire presentation on engage. And so I did read the responses. It was just an oversight. We had them, it just somehow in the cut and paste between all of the responses and getting it in here, we missed it. So it's in there now. I already addressed the newcomer and newly arrived enrollment for the 22-23 school year, which was, I think we ran it that night. My directors were trying to help me. Apparently my phone was just buzzing crazy over there when I was standing up here. They were trying to give me the answers, but they didn't realize I didn't have my cell phone up here with me. But it's 226. Okay. So let's look at number 5, which was again, around English learner programs. I believe President Salazar was asking about the ISET contracted services. So currently, the funding that is covering the ISET contracted services are not $1 million and change. It's less than that. But under Goal 2, Action 6, which is on page 59, that's the action where what is covered with that contract would be addressed. So if you look at Goal 2, Action 6, it's support all emergent multilingual English learner students in obtaining English language proficiency and master of the core content standards. So that particular action is got a lot of individual pieces to it, but that's, if you were trying to make a connection between the ISET contract and where that is translated into an action, that's where it would be.
Okay.
Yes.
So
We're in year 2. We'll be going into year 2.
So in each year, what do we do? What have we done in the first 2 years, and what are we? I know last time I talked to you, said you were in the implementation stage.
So we just are finishing year 1, and the focus was on the implementation of Principle 1 in the EL roadmap. So we trained administrators and teachers and families and parents on the implementation of Principle 1, which is looking at an asset-based approach to teaching English learners. For year 2, we're all focused on the instruction. So all of the work in elementary and secondary is going to be focused on its EL Principle 2, which is high quality instruction. So all of that work, coaching, development of curriculum, training, and support for administrators and teachers. So that's year 2 is Principle 2. Okay. And then you might recall when you looked at your original draft copy, if you were looking after each action, there's a section called measuring and reporting results. In your previous draft copy, there was still some highlighted orange because we didn't have all the numbers. In your current copy now, you should have no highlighted orange. All of our year 2 reporting data is there for you now. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. Okay. Next is the 2 requests and items that I discussed with Trustee Dybert. So one of the questions, I'm going to have everybody go to page 68, and this goes along with what we talked about a little bit earlier. So I don't want to repeat everything that was already stated, but Trustee Dybert had a question around the metric for CTE pathway completion. So I met with Director McKenna, who oversees our College and Career Readiness Department. So what I will show you is, if you look at the very first metric on page 68, it says CTE pathway completion. So our baseline, which would have been in 2019, 2020, was 25% of our students graduated with the completion of a CTE pathway. Then year 1, which was 2020, 2021, we had a huge increase, almost a 15% increase. We jumped up to 40.9%. What Director McKenna and I discussed, and we feel like that increase was a result of, if you recall, that would have been when we were in COVID. And so the state allowed all school districts to adopt alternative grading practices. No students could fail. Some of you were on the board then, some of you weren't, but there was a number of board policies, temporary board policies that we approved. So what our hypothesis is, without going in and looking, like diving back into the numbers, is that, if students were not given any failing grades, obviously we had a higher percentage of passing, which means students pass their CTE classes just like the other classes at a greater rate. So that helped with the overall completion. Then you look at what we're reporting for 21, 22, and we went down by about 8%. So now you're talking about last school year when we opened schools, and students came back, and what we attribute this to is just less students having the opportunity to complete career pathway courses because the need for other courses, credit recovery and such. We're still above the desired outcome. The state wants you to have 30% of students completing a career pathway. We're still above that percentage by about 2%, but we're going to continue to work and try to alleviate that 8.4 deficit that is a 8.4% from the graduating class of 21-22. Any comments, any questions? It's a difficult one. You know, it's inherent that between COVID, we did have, you know, kids came back to school and things have been very different, but the 8% decrease is not something, again, that we're proud of, but we feel like we'll hopefully see that pick back up again as we look at our outcomes from the 22-23 school year.
That's what I say, well, now we're going to see the outcome for the third year, 22-23.
A year from now.
So be a year lag.
Yeah. And we can actually pull that data a little early. We have to officially post it, but Director McKenna and I talked, and we can do a board update on, you know, what we saw based on the conclusion of this year, because she has to report data to the state. So we can put together something earlier, but publicly we report it at this time every year because it's when we conclude and report on the LCAP.
Yeah, because it was CME would want to know, so that way it guides you what pathways are really being looked at, what other ones are not, why they're not, and so forth, to kind of plan your curriculums.
Well, and we have to actually, that's a good point. We actually have to review that annually. So based on staffing, based on student request, we don't currently offer any pathways that aren't fully enrolled. So, you know, we do keep track of student enrollment. Again, it is also to the point that Trustee Seibert brought up. This doesn't necessarily show the enrollment of kids in CTE courses. It's that pathway. They have to stay in a continuous pathway. So if they took, you know, automotive at Madera High School, and then they didn't like that, so they jumped into construction, and then their junior year they took A to G and AP courses, and they didn't really have an opportunity to take an elective, and then they went in their senior year to construction again, they wouldn't complete a CTE pathway even though they took 3 years of courses because they were in 2 pathways. So it's a little bit, you know, as you dig deeper, you can see that in a district where we have a number of high quality pathways, to Trustee Seibert's point, sometimes they want to change. They get into something and they're like, I want to do something else. I want to take the medical pathway, or I want to take digital media pathway, or I want to take ag. I want to be in. So we have a lot of opportunities for kids. And though we try to counsel them to stay in their pathway, if they just absolutely don't want to do it, they want to move, then they can do that.
What are the 2 most popular pathways?
Oh gosh, Trustee Director McKenna, are you on there?
I think they were going to come back to us with that, right? To see what's the most what are the popular ones, and how much.
I mean, our largest, if you took, I mean, ag and engineering are by far our 2 largest schools but they have multiple pathways within them. So if you're in the, you know, if you're in the engineering and manufacturing school at Torres High School, that there's like 3 to 4 pathways there. If you are in the School of Ag, there's six pathways there. Those are our most highly enrolled career sectors and then medical careers is also really high in public safety, which aligns to the industry sectors that are the most needed actually in Madera County and the surrounding counties. So I can't give you exact numbers, but I can tell you that ag, manufacturing, engineering, medical, and public safety have been our largest and most highly enrolled pathway courses since when I was the director, which has been 6 years ago now.
And Mad Tech really helps with them deciding what they want to do when they.
Yeah, I think Mad Tech provides a unique opportunity to help them decide either they really want to stay in that area or they don't. We don't see 100% of kids who take ag at MTech who stay in ag at Madera South, or 100% of kids who take the entrepreneurship lab automatically enroll in business pathway courses. But it does give them an opportunity to know like what they're interested in.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So the last one to address in this one, at about 4:30 yesterday, Director Bonilla and Director Guerriero set out to try to make sense of this because, and I'm glad that Trustee Dybert asked the questions that she did. So if you go to page 49, you all should have gotten, and I think Mrs. Soto, they all got a revised page 49, correct? This was the one that we had to change the entire page. No revised page 49? Okay. I apologize for that.
So maybe we can look at what we have.
Well, continuous improvement this year was moved into Ed Services. And what we have found is that it's been extremely helpful because the work that our departments do collaboratively helps us make sense of the data. So the question that was originally asked yesterday was, if you look on page 49, under goal 1, the very first measuring or report result is our MAP reading fluency, which looks at kinder through 2nd grade. So I believe you guys have on your paper a year 1 outcome that shows 11.2. Ouch. I happen to have both of them, so I'm going to. So you have the year 1 shows that all students that met their either met or exceeded their expectation was 11.2. You had ELs at 8%, foster youth at 8.7, homeless at 4.2, and students with disabilities at 2.7. Where we started digging into this information was Trustee Dybert said, darn, the ELs went down to 4.2% in your year 2 outcome. So if you look at year 2, you can see overall we had an increase. We went from 11% to 23% of students meeting or exceeding their standard. But as you look, the EL student group went down. So the question was, Cheryl, why did the EL student group go down? So that caused me to bring in Director Guerriero and Director Bonilla. And what we found was that our reporting was not as clear as we would want it to be. And so the numbers are actually better, significantly better, and our ELs didn't go down. They actually improved. So when we went back, we reran the data for year 1, and then we reran the data for year 2. So the revision for year 1, the numbers increased. But what I want to tell you is in year 2, we have almost 36% of our students in K2 that actually met or exceeded their target, which is in kindergarten looking at oral fluency. So as you know, kindergarten, they're not reading yet. So you're looking at oral fluency. Once we get into 1st and 2nd grade, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. In kindergarten, it's foundational reading skills. It's the foundations. So in kindergarten, they're not readers yet generally. But as you move into 1st and 2nd grade, we look at their oral fluency, and oral fluency is their ability to read. So the revised data is that actually in year 2, almost 36% of all students met or exceeded their reading target, which is significantly better than what we had originally reported at 23. Our EL percentage is almost 26%. It's 25.8. So that was really great news. Our foster youth is at 18%. Our homeless youth is at 27.4. and our students with disabilities is actually 14.9. So thank you, Trustee Dybert, for asking the question, because you caused us to go in and look at it. And I would just say that, that's part of the learning and part of the collaboration that's come through continuous improvement being part of Ed Services, because as we dive into the data, Nicole or Director Guerrero and myself ask questions, and Adam's like, well, this is why. And we're like, he knows the data and we know the reason why behind the data, and you put it together and you get clearer results. So
Do you have a chance to look at math too, or did you just look and focus on that?
math we said was correct.
That was
Yep,
correct.
we
Okay.
verified that math was correct. Yep. So those were all of my response, or the trustee inquiries that were presented. That's the responses. So what I would need to make sure that we know is that tonight you're approving a version. You don't have the correct page 49. I apologize. I thought that I provided a new draft. So there is a new draft page 49 that's already in the document. I poked myself with a staple and I'm bleeding all over everything up here. So there is a new draft page 49. All right. So those were the questions that I came prepared to answer based on last meeting.
So, Mrs., so the page 49, the numbers that you gave, those are the correct numbers? And
The
no
ones
other
I just
changes?
read to you are the correct numbers.
No other changes on that particular page?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So some of this data shows up in next year on like the report card by site. Like a lot of this data shows up on the site's report card.
On the Madera Learning,
Yeah.
the Madera Learning
System
Yeah.
on the California School Dashboard. Some of we try and incorporate as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I want to make sure that the board knows the next steps. So tonight, we approve the draft version, because this is a draft version. And then by this Friday, I'm required to submit it to the Madera County Superintendent of Schools. And then I'm told by people who have been through this process before, they take the whole month of July, and there's a team at Madera County Superintendent of Schools that will scrutinize it between July 1st and July 31st. We can expect back about the beginning of August that we'll have a meeting with McSauce staff, and any questions or concerns that they have, they will bring to us. And at that point, we could be asked to make revisions. If there were any significant revisions, then I would bring that back for a board approval in August or September. Arelis, I think we've never had to bring it back and have it revised, correct? Hope I'm not the first. So hopefully tonight will be the night, but again, this is a living document and it's subject to change and revision. And so if there are no significant revisions requested by McSauce, then we won't have to worry about doing any additional approval, and then we'll send it. And until then, we keep it posted in draft form on the, so we have it on the website, and it's listed as a draft until we get the approval from Madera County. And then we send it off and we'll get it translated, and that's when we start. And then we'll post it on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huh? I know, I'm trying to get there. Okay, 10A1. I now open this for public comment. Mrs. Soto?
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Seeing no one come forward, I close public comment. Trustees, do you have any further questions for staff? I now entertain a motion and a second to approve item 10A1. Please state your name when making a motion and seconding the motion.
Clerk Mendoza, I move to approve 10A1 draft version with the modifications of page 49 as stated by Mrs. Sissel.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Trustee Ahmad, second.
It has been moved by Clerk Mendoza and seconded by Trustee Ahmad to approve item 10A1. Ms. Soto, please pull the board.
Trustee Ahmad,
Yes.
Trustee Cortez, Trustee Dybert,
Yes.
Trustee Fleek,
Yes.
Trustee Seibert,
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Salazar.
Yes.
President Salazar, I counted 6 ayes, 0 noes, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Item 10B1, Educational Services, second reading, request approval of the adoption of 2023 adopted budget. Deputy Superintendent Schwartz.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board, CFO Garcia, who we saw dancing in the Madera Minutes this evening, will present this item.
How I'm going to maintain my seriousness here today. Good evening, President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, and Deputy Superintendent Schwartz. In the last board meeting, I presented to you the preliminary budget for 23-24, and nothing has changed. Everything is the same. The numbers are the same. I didn't have any questions from staff, from the trustees. So if you have any questions right now, I'm here to answer them. The book is the same. And I'll just would like to tell the trustees that the first 12 pages of the report is the summary of what, the rest of the pages are. That is what the CD requires for us to the report to be presented to.
I now open this for public comment. Mrs. Soto.
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments. President Salazar, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Seeing no one come forward, I close public comment. Trustees, do you have any questions for staff? No? I now entertain a motion and a second to approve item 10B1. Please state your name when making a motion and seconding the motion.
Trustee Fleek, I move to approve item 10B1.
Clerk Mendoza, I second it.
Thank you. It has been moved by Trustee Fleek and second by Clerk Mendoza to approve item 10B1. Ms. Soto, please pull the board.
Trustee Ahmad, Trustee Cortez, Trustee Dybert,
Yes.
Trustee Fleek,
Yes.
Trustee Seibert,
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
President Salazar.
Yes.
President Salazar, I counted 5 ayes, 0 noes, 0 abstentions, and 2 absent.
New business, administrative and support services, request approval of educational specifications for new King Hussein School. Deputy Superintendent Schwartz.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board, Director Cox will present this item this evening with the help of Matt Heiss from Darden Architects.
Good evening, President Salazar, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz. So we have been working with Darden Architects on the programming for the new King Hussein School for quite some time. One of the first steps in the design process is to develop the educational specifications, or ed specs, as we call it, which determines the variety of programs, space needs, and the overall organizational structure for the new school. It's also a requirement of Ed Code, specifically Educational Code Section 39101C requires districts to have a board-approved Ed spec in order to receive plan approval from the California Department of Education. The Ed specs are prepared based on the district's goals, objectives, policies, and staff input that determine the educational program and define a number of items such as the enrollment, the grade level configuration, the emphasis in curriculum content that influences the school design, the type, number, size, function, and special characteristics of each space that are consistent with the educational program, as well as community functions that may affect the school design. And so staff and Darn Architects, we have met and worked with various stakeholder groups, so our district administration, principals, teachers, staff, over several months in preparing the Ed specs. And as Deputy Superintendent Schwartz mentioned, I'd like to introduce Matt Heiss. He is one of the principals at Darn Architects, and he's going to just kind of discuss the Ed spec in a little bit more detail. And you should have, it should look like this. You should have that in front of you. Okay, great.
Thank you, Rosalind. President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Schwartz, thank you for your time this evening. Thank you again for entrusting Darden Architects with this very important and very exciting work with Madera Unified School District. As Rosalind mentioned, we did take quite a while going through the development of this educational specification for this new campus. I think as we began to peel back the layers of working with the district and the different stakeholders, we realized this is truly a new model for the district. It will be the first purpose-built K-8. The district does have a few K-8s, as you know, but they were more a situation of circumstance in the surrounding areas where the enrollment does not support a full standalone middle school. So this will be the first time that Madera Unified is building one from the ground up with the intent to house students grade TK all the way up through 8th grade. It's also the first elementary school campus to be built since the adoption of the special programs, or the elementary school electives, as they're sometimes referred to. So working through with staff on the right collection of spaces, how they were oriented, where they were located on campus, and how they were integrated into the fabric of the campus to support those educational goals and special curriculum was very exciting for us and a big part of this effort. We also heard a lot of input from the district about wanting to keep the student populations integrated in the campus so that they could take advantage of shared facilities, but also separate, so as to minimize the mixing of our middle school students and our elementary school students. So exploring options for how to accomplish that was also a big part of this effort. The educational specification before you outlines every space in the campus, from the classroom spaces to the storage closets. You'll see there's descriptions of each of those spaces and how they relate to one another, suggestions for adjacencies for those spaces in terms of how they relate to one another, and some information about the design process for the King Hussein School specifically, which has already begun. Granted that we get approval tonight, we'll continue to move forward with that. So do you have any questions for me?
Trustees, I start with Trustee Dybert. Do you have any questions for him at this time? Trustee Ahmad, do you have any questions? Trustee Fleet, do you have any questions?
Ray does.
I know, but do you have any?
Oh, no.
Because
I've
you have
been
your mic
talking
on.
with Ray,
You
so.
got your mic on, that's why. Trustee people say that, I apologize. Seibert.
So, first question is, on preschool, you only show one class.
So,
You know, if we're gonna do preschool, they're gonna want preschool, you know, we should prepare for every kid to have preschool. And a lot of our schools, we don't have the room to do preschool. So why aren't we putting, 4 or 5 preschools model instead of just one?
So currently, we actually do have 2 preschool classrooms. Excuse me. We currently do have 2 preschool classrooms planned for the campus.
How many?
2. One of those is for special ed programs.
Here, it only shows one.
It says here on the side with the asterisk, it says 2 actual teaching station required.
Right, but even 2. I've seen the asterisk, I've seen that on the pages further back, but even 2 doesn't accommodate all the kids are gonna go into TK or kindergarten or all the way up. So I don't wanna have to build a school and then start putting portables on the campus because we don't have enough classroom. So there's that one, and then there's you start out with the TK and K, you're talking about maybe 100 kids. So you're 25 to 1, you're showing 24 to 1, but that's 25 to 1. And then when you get into 4th grade, you're doing, let's see, 4 classrooms, so you're at 24 to 1. Well, yeah, it says 30 to 1, but if you do the math here, in our classrooms,
So I can
4 to 1.
I can explain the math a little bit. This is part of the ed spec that is equal parts science and a little bit of art. So we know we have a certain loading standard that we're aiming for. So at 4th grade, that's 30 to 1. So if we divide 100 students by 30 students to get to a 30 to 1 to determine how many classrooms we need, we get 33.3 or 3.333.
Right.
So we can't build just 3 classrooms because we wouldn't have enough space to accommodate the 30 to 1 loading standard. So we bumped that number up to 4. And you'll see throughout the ed spec where we are doing the actual numbers on that spreadsheet. We're trying to get the closest number we can to the exact number of classrooms we need for the campus to accommodate the student load. We don't want to build too many classrooms. We don't want to build not enough classrooms. So the goal of that spreadsheet is to show that math and to explain why we determined the number of classrooms that we did. Within the actual loading of the school on any given year, you may have a bubble of students where you may have need for 5 4th grade classrooms. So long as you don't have a bubble in every single grade level, the campus should be designed to accommodate a bubble of that nature. So
what I have always suggested is, instead of doing 4 classrooms in K through 3, you do 5. So you end up with 25 kids per classroom. When you get into 4th grade, now you can break it down to 30 to 1. It comes out to 30 to 1. And you could keep 30 to 1 all the way up. With your deal, you're showing about 32, 33 kids to 1 in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. About 24 to 1, 25 to 1 in 4th grade. And so for me, the math makes more sense if you start out with 5 classrooms at 25. And then once you get above 3rd grade, 4th grade on up, the numbers will be 30 to 1, which is a manageable class size. 35 is really too many. Sometimes you get up to 38. So we're starting, I just don't agree. I mean, I want to design a campus to where you don't feel like you got 1,200, 1,300 kids on the campus. Since you got preschool over here, you got K3 over here, and you got the upper grades over in a different area. So you don't feel the concentration of so many kids. But I just don't, I just don't like the way this math turns out on these class sizes.
So we took the loading standards from the district. So again, we were trying to narrow that class size down to just the right amount of classrooms. If there's a interest or a desire for additional classrooms to support the math that you described, Trustee
The
Seibert.
question would be to the board. Do you want to go 35, 38 to 1 and 5, 6, 7, and 8? You want to go down, get it down to 30 to 1, 4th grade on up.
So I believe just to clarify, I believe at the 6th or 5th through 8th grade, we programmed to 34 to 1. So we should have enough classrooms to account.
They want to stay at that high level. And sometimes it goes even higher. We'll design it to where it's a 30 to 1. fourth grade on up. And they changed a little bit some of these specs. What does the board want? We want to have a classrooms of 35 to 1, 38 to 1, 32 to 1, or we want to build a school in the beginning where you got enough space to handle everybody, not put portables on the campus. Because already preschool, you only got maybe 2 classrooms. Really, you need at least 4. So you're two classrooms short there. Well, I've seen these schools built, and we built a brand new school. Next thing you know, we're adding portables to it. So what specs do we want? Do we want 35 to 1 and 5, 6, 7, and 8, or we want 30 to 1? If you start out with 5 classrooms at 25 to 1, then when you get to 4th, 5th, and 6th, then you got 30 to 1. It all divides out where it flows. And the campus designed, if we did that, we have to change this little bit of design of the campus. We need a little bit more land. We have land there to the north that we could add onto this campus.
We do have a little bit of space on the campus. So one of the early planning issues that we ran into is that a portion of the site is in the flyover zone for the Madera Municipal Airport. So it's not developable for the school site.
North part is.
There is a small section to the north that we've set aside for a future program, whether that's a duplication of the MTech program or another district use on the site.
We don't need to have that land for a program like that if we need it for this K-8.
Understood.
Where did we get the estimated enrollment for the school?
I might ask Rosalind to chime in there.
So in looking at the capacity for King Hussein, we obviously started with what we currently have at our K-6 school sites and what we typically see. And so for K-6, we're at about 700 students. With the addition of TK, that's an additional 100 students, and then 7th and 8th, an additional 200. So that's how we kind of came up with the 1,000 student capacity for King Hussein. Currently, when we're looking at our projected boundary for King Hussein, right now we're looking at opening the school with approximately 697 students. So there is room for growth when we open up the school. Obviously we're going to be taking up portions of Lincoln, portions of Adams. I have it here too.
Are there any new subdivisions planned in that area too?
There are some subdivisions, and we've taken that into account. So there's subdivisions, obviously, to the west of King Hussein, the KB homes. We have the Kehovanians to the south, and so that has been built into our projections.
Thank you.
So Lincoln and used to have over 800 kids in that school.
Yes, currently Lincoln has 855 students. And so when we open up King Hussein, our projections right now show that they'll drop down to about 750 students.
But we've got a lot of growth coming in the district. So anyway, my main point is if you start out with 5 classes, you get 125 kids. As they move up to 4th grade on up, you drop that number goes from 25 to 1 to 30 to 1, which I think is a target we should shoot for.
I do agree with you, Trustee Cyber. We need to think big, that we are going to grow and build the schools from the beginning, that it's going to house students rather than change the way that brand new school looks like by putting a portable or something like that. The other thing that I have a concern, Trustee Ahmad and I, we attended the 8th grade graduation at TJ. And it was huge when we were sitting over there. So are we moving some of the TJ students, or are we considering that? Because that, to me, was a big concern to see such a large number of students in such a small campus. And maybe will that grow in the future, and to the point to Trustee Cyber is mentioning?
Yes, Trustee Dyber, we are taking, according to our draft projection right now, we're taking about 116 students from TJ that will then attend King Hussein. So approximately 53 seventh grade and 63 eighth grade students.
And that will leave with how many students enrolled at TJ?
I don't have that. Oh, actually, I think I do actually. I do have that number. It is 830. So currently they have 968 students, so they'll drop about 140 students.
Okay, is that, I mean, would the campus still be comfortable enough for that many students there?
Absolutely. You have to remember too, we have a large number of students that go to MTech during the day. So TJ does have quite a few students off the campus for the morning session and the afternoon session as well.
What is the cost of another wing? If we were able to put that on the,
So I just did some quick numbers. If we were to increase, the grade level by one room, that's about 10 additional classrooms. And we're looking at about $650 a square foot. So that equates to about $6.2 million. That doesn't also include, we would also need to look at our specials classroom, our elective classrooms, because now based off of the 1,200 students, we would most likely need to add an additional art classroom, an additional STEM classroom. So that 6.2 million would be more.
thank you.
0.2 million will cover those other classrooms as well, the special and the art. Then we start to add those costs to it too. And just to know, the development is going west, which is Village East. Those developers will have to build a school. So that's part of their agreement to build out there. Really, where our development's going to be going to is actually going to be, we're going to have Nishimoto, we're going to have that area. But some people want to develop. Going to be going more northeast. Northwest is going to be Village East, but those part of those agreements is to bring in their schools, sort of like the way it's doing up there, Mission to Soto in those areas. But some of the overpopulated in TJ and in Adams and in Lincoln are going. This school is going to take some of those students away from there.
I think it's also important to note for the board that attendance at our school sites is driven by boundaries. And the kids don't come in nice little packets per grade level. So I'm just looking right now, I just looked at the top one, John Adams. The grade levels fluctuate. At John Adams currently, between 80 kids is the lowest number of students in a grade level to 120. So we can add additional classrooms, but what I'm saying is you're not going to have 125 kinders come in every year. You may have 80 come in one year because there's only 80 in that attendance area. Then you may have 140 one year. And so you have to have room to handle the ebbs and flows and the fluctuations in the grade levels. And that's what we need to be able to do. Because the grade levels really change every year if it's based on an attendance boundary. Something like Madison, that's a school of choice, we can control how many students enroll each year. So it's just something to note.
Well, with that, you'll need some more classrooms in it to adjust to that.
Just depending on what the attendance boundary is, yes.
Yeah.
Based off of what Rosalind mentioned, we've done preliminary attendance areas as well as phase one of Village D. This would house the phase one of Village D. As Village D expands, then we would need to build that second elementary school and obviously later on third and possibly fourth.
Senate President Salazar, I'm wondering if building the extra classroom, if we don't have the enrollment that we need, would that help with the ELLP, having to have a room dedicated just for the after-school program? Would that help in a certain way, or that has to be built separately? And
those rooms cannot be used during school hours, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, those rooms, you have to have that room for ELLP and then this room for this. You can't use them because it can't be used during those school hours.
correct, but let's say there's 1 year when we have an empty room, can that ELLP, can that classroom be used for them for that year?
Absolutely. If we use district general fund dollars to fund it, yes.
Okay.
What are we going to do here if we have more than 48 kids sign up for pre-K? We're not going to have enough classrooms if we have, same amount of kids sign up for pre-K that's going to go into TK and kindergarten all the way up.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's Associate Superintendent Sissel has any
Well, wouldn't it be that because pre-K, I mean,
comments.
it'd be from that area, and so you have to limit them to those amount of students, because there's
We-
other schools that we're gonna have those pre-K.
Yeah, so other schools, we're not going to be able to put pre-K on a lot of the different school sites, right now in the plans. You just go into certain areas. So why aren't we building what we, in the future, we would need at this school? Take some of that load off some of the other schools also for right now.
Sure, and we can take a look at that. We can definitely look at the preschool classrooms, and if we see that there is, it's warranted to add a couple more classrooms, we can certainly do so with kind of what we're looking at as far as our design and our schematic designs currently.
And on the others, if we're gonna add more classrooms, you might as well go at either you're gonna do the 10 additional or just 2, or whatever, but then what's the budget all around gonna affect the building of the school, and where we're gonna be getting the funding from? I know we're getting it from the bond and stuff, but how is that gonna affect our budget and the planning for it?
I would like a discussion on the board if they want to keep our numbers at 35-1 in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or you want to bring that. Our goal was in the future to bring that down to 30-1, just like we have in 4th grade.
Yeah, so the question is, do we want them to come back with a revised head count per grade, especially the first primary grades, which is pre-K, TK, and K, right? And see how we adjust those figures to be like Trustee Cyber saying that to end up with like a 30-1 on 4th grade. And then also, how is that going to affect our budget? Where we're going to put it, this classroom on, where we're going to add it, do we have space? How's it, it's going to affect all the whole design and everything. It has to. And more time this is going to take them a few months to do. It's not going to be something that's going to be in a month, 2 months. It's going to be at least until the end of the year. It's going to take at least a few months. And then that's more cost. There's still more cost to us regardless, the longer we wait to build this school.
I know this seems kind of late, this conversation, but I've had this, this conversation before with 2 or 3 years. And in the last 2 or 3 years, I've had this kind of conversation. It's not just all of a sudden today. But the board, it's something the board needs to talk about. What do we want to do? We want to bring classes down to, say, 30-1. Well, then we're going to load some of these other schools more because they won't be at 35-1 at Lincoln. We'll bring it back. They can bring them down to 30-1 when this school opens.
Okay, well, on July the 18th, we're having a facilities meeting, special board meeting, along with the budget that goes and coincides with that part. So I guess we can discuss it further at that time, the board, and see what we want to do. Is that what you guys want, a consensus to do that, to discuss at a special board meeting, the facilities? Maybe by then you could come back with a little bit more of a head count, a little bit more of adjustment, what the budget would be, how it will affect us, the delays, what is going to affect us as far as cost, and all around. So that way we have more of a wide option to look at, and then go back right now, with this new enrollment, with new school board, I think a lot of TKs have already enrolled and stuff. What is our actual head count right now for the new 23-24 school year that we could compare it to? And then again, go back again to TJ, Lincoln, and Adams, how those head counts are going to affect the new school. And that way we could have more perspective. So we could talk about that more in detail at our July 18th meeting. Is that okay with you? Is that okay with the board?
Yeah.
To do that, to have more further thought and explore this more in detail?
So one quick question.
Yes.
If we do, let's say if we do 30-1 in this school, so we have to do it for all other school as well, right? Or it's just going to be, because right now we're talking about King Hussein, so is 30-1 ratio will be only for this school, or is have
That
to
would
be?
be part of the discussion of facilities meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, for the future plan. So Schwartz will be there, ascended, and and they will be presenting the park for King Hussein, and then how are we addressing the TK and the other sites, but we know what sites are getting them, those classrooms. Are we doing it? What's the plan? What's the budget looking at? And what is the most important in our building out our schools to fit our students?
Okay. And one more question I have is regarding about the parking you have, 2.25, total parking 108. As for all the employees parking?
Correct. So that's the CDE requirement. I believe we're providing.
Well, just to interrupt you, Trustee Ahmad, so I just want to agree, we're okay with going further. Right now, we can ask those other questions, but for right now, the secretary could note that, well, we could all be in agreement. We'll go ahead on July 18th, discuss the head count, and any questions we have, you could ask them now, or you could send them by email, however you want, or save them for that day.
Okay.
Whatever you have, but
Sounds good. We
yeah,
can do
because
that.
we're going to discuss the whole school.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So that
Thank
way you
you.
have a chance more to write your questions down in detail. Is that okay with you? Is that okay? Thank you, guys.
Yes. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Really, my hit list.
President Salazar, I have a question. So this item is going to come back at the special board meeting for approval or for review as part of the facilities
Yes,
workshop?
that's why I was directing the secretary, we're going to bring it back. That's why I needed everybody's agreement that we're going to bring it back to
For
our July
approval.
18th special meeting. We're not going to, we'll decide then, and we're going to bring it back to the board to approve it then. We have to decide on that agenda. We haven't got to that.
Got it.
For right now, we're moving it to discuss it more in detail on July the 18th.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I know, I'm trying to get there. Trying to get my thoughts. And so, trustees, if I have a motion, let me go back here. How am I at? Sorry, I missed a page. Okay, trustees, can I have a motion to, was it delay or to table item 11A1, administrative and support services, request approval of educational specifications for a new King Hussein School to July 18th at a special board meeting to be held here at Madera Unified School District.
Can we approve it at that time, or we have to wait till the next board meeting? If we decide at that board meeting, we can approve it or we can't.
If we list it on the special board meeting agenda as
Yeah,
an
we list
approval
it.
item, we can
Once
approve
we
it.
do the agenda, but right now it's to table it, and then we'll add it to the agenda if we want to approve it at that time, depending on that discussion too. But we're going to have enough time to discuss all these details. It's a conundrum.
So this will be a discussion then at the special board meeting and then
Yeah.
bring it at a regular meeting for approval, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would have seemed so, because then at the special board meeting, even if we have more public input, I think being with the school size, the classroom size, and all that, we will want to see if there's more public input that we would want to receive and look into.
President Salazar, not only that to mention, but also they'll need time to digest it, to set some kind of a plan and kind of strategize it so that they could bring it back and present it at a future board meeting.
Mhm. So if I could have a motion to table item 11A to our next board meeting.
Trustee Seibert, I so move.
Clerk Mendoza, second.
Okay. Okay, now open this to public, for public comment. Mrs. Soto?
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they appear on our screen. Comments provided in writing will be read after the live comments.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Seeing no one come forward, I close public comment. Again, I'm sorry, trustees. I now entertain a motion and second to table item 11A1. So I had trustee Seibert. Was it you first that moved the motion, or was it Clerk Mendoza? Seibert, yes. And second by Clerk Mendoza.
Yes.
To table item 11A1 to our next board meeting. Mrs. Soto, please pull the board.
Trustee Ahmad,
Yes.
Trustee Cortez, Trustee Dyber,
Yes.
Trustee Fleek,
Yes.
Trustee Seibert,
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Salazar.
Yes.
President Salazar, I counted 6 ayes, 0 noes, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Soto. Announcement, Superintendent Schwartz.
President Salazar, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, I have just a couple of announcements to make this evening. Summer school is in full swing, as META President Holder mentioned earlier, and is set to end next week on July 6th. And then, as we just alluded to, a special board meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 18th, focused on future facility projects.
Thank you, Superintendent Schwartz. Miscellaneous items, board member committee and information reports. Trustees, please report. Trustees, this is an opportunity for you to provide the board updates on reports from committee meetings or events you have attended. Please share what you have learned from these different committees that you might have attended. Trustee Ahmad.
Yeah, I would like to congratulate President Lucy Salazar, who has been selected as a 2023 Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, which will be honored by Madera Chamber of Commerce, and the ceremony will be held on August 3rd, 2023. So congratulations.
Trustee Dybert.
Yes, I attended on June 14. I attended the special PC meeting where they review the salary study with Director Joe Aiello, the Director of PC Barreras, and CSEA President was there. As you can imagine, there were lots of questions from staff, and the staff and the President of CSEA answered the questions very well, and they took a lot of input from them. So that's what I took from that meeting. I attended in the Zoom. On Thursday, the Budget and Finance Committee meeting led by CFO Garcia went over the budget presentation. I just have a suggestion, I think, for the future, and I don't remember who suggested this, and I think it's a great idea, to make sure we include teachers, classified and certificated staff as members of the Budget and Finance Committee, because sometimes there's misconceptions of where the money is and what funds we're utilizing. So if we have members of those two workforces, they can go back and take it to their own school site staff and share that information. It is very informative. You know, CFO Garcia is she explains it in a really good way that even a kindergartner can understand that. So I really like to propose that. And then I also attended the Alice in Wonderland play. I know President Salazar's grandson played there. My grandson was there. It was very, very good, very well put together. So I was very happy to see that. On the 16th, I continue with my course on Masters in Governance. I took course number 4, had to do with human resource and collective bargaining agreement. I learned a lot about the kind of work you guys do. And then tomorrow I'm attending another course, which is the final one from 8 to 5 on public input, I believe. So that's all I have for now. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Fleek.
Yeah, it was difficult to hear. I got better at reading lips. Madera South had a very entertaining Juneteenth celebration. Information was given and explained about the importance of the Juneteenth celebration to all of us. There were African drummers, singers, and dancers, and food was also provided. At the Arts Authority meeting yesterday, we learned many new and exciting things will be happening in Madera. Courthouse Park is going to be renovated this July. Several murals are planned for downtown. The Madera Theater Project is planning 2 more shows after Alice in Wonderland, and the theater project is committed to inspiring the community. There is also going to be a 4th children's show. So it's all really exciting. Thank you.
Trustee Seibert,
No.
Clerk Mendoza.
Nothing at this time.
I want to apologize. First of all, I didn't attend the Juneteenth meeting, and I wasn't able to attend the June 13th conference because I have 2 relatives who are getting more and more sick. So when I have time, I have to break away and spend time with one of my older brother and my older sister. But anyway, the Madera Project, I was able to attend the play, but I was also able to be behind the scenes because I had to be there helping my daughter, be there with my grandson, and all the work that they go through the costumes and everything, and the kids are there, they're getting ready and everything, all that excitement, and they were happy. You have adults with kids from high school, kids from middle school, and you have young kids that are doing that. We have even little ones that were there also. And so all that different age group working together, supporting each other, and they made friends. And that was really good to see, especially behind the scenes and all the work that the director went through and everything. And I think that I'm glad that we're able to afford to have that project for our community, the Madera and our school district and the Madera project. But thank you very much. Other than that, I think that's it. Any future planning we may have is just a July 18th meeting. Other than that, what time is it? It's 9:08, and I adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Okay.